Hello again. So I just thought I'd take the opportunity to bake another cake just for my profile. I enjoy doing this. I'm not a professional baker, but I do love to bake. So it's Mother's Day coming up and my mom's favorite cake is coconut cake. She doesn't always get an opportunity to have that. So guess what? I'm going to make one especially for her. And I think it's going to be phenomenal. So I just thought I'd record this video just so that in case you love coconut cake as well, you might want to follow along with this recipe. So I have my oven preheating at 325 degrees. So you'll hear it beep a little later, but what we're going to do now is just assemble all the ingredients. It's very quick and easy. It's not anything that should be intimidating for you. So yeah, there it goes off. So it's nothing intimidating. So just follow along if you want. I will post the actual recipe in this link here so that you have the ingredients so you can just follow along yourself. And if you love to bake, it'll be an easy recipe to follow. So let's go ahead and get started. I like to start with what I call my wet ingredients first. So what I like to do is put the sugar and also the wet mixture together. So we're going to first start with the sugar. So I am going to incorporate 2 cups of sugar. So, of course, you know, sugar, it dissolves very well with the wet ingredients. So it's good to go ahead and put that in first. So I'm going to do 2 full cups of sugar as my base in the mixer. All right. And to that, I am going to add 1 stick of butter, which is 1/2 cup. Excuse me for 1 second. Just let me grab something. So I'm going to use 1 stick of butter. And what I like to do is just kind of put it in just little sections. So I just kind of break that up into maybe tablespoon sections. And then what I can do is go ahead and get my mixer going. So I'm just going to put it on low and just make sure that everything is getting incorporated. So we'll start low and then we can also take it up as we need it. So right now we just have the 2 cups of sugar, 1 stick of butter. And to that, I am going to add eggs. So for now, I'm just going to add 2 whole eggs. And I have these other eggs here. I don't know if you can see them, but we're going to use egg whites later just to fold it in. That helps to make the layers really fluffy. For now, I'm just going to crack 2 eggs. And what I like to do is use a clear bowl and crack the eggs in first before I put them in the mixture. This will help avoid any of the shell getting into your mixture, which you definitely don't want. So let me do that. All right, so you can see your 2 eggs there. They're not mixed, and I actually can incorporate them separately because if you just kind of put them in, they'll go one at a time. So there's 1. I let that kind of incorporate a little bit. And then I'll just add the second one. There you go. 2 eggs. That is done. So let's get that out the way. So I want to turn up the mixture just slightly, just so that everything can get incorporated and all together. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, that part is really, really simple. So to that, I want to also, this recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. So I'm going to add that into the mixture as well. I'm just going to pour that in slowly as it mixes together. This helps to keep your layers really nice, moist, very fluffy. So all of these ingredients, I like to use a combination. So you could use all vegetable oil, meaning a cup of vegetable oil or a cup of butter, but I like to mix it up because it helps to layer the flavors. So you get all types of flavor throughout the entire cake. So you're not a one note kind of cake as far as this is concerned. So we'll get that incorporated. And this is pretty much done. So then we'll start working on the dry ingredients. All right, so for the dry ingredients, I've already pre-measured everything as far as the small ingredients. The thing that I need to start with first is the flour. So for the flour, I do need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, which is what I like to use for cakes. And so we'll just measure that out. And we want to make sure everything is leveled out, as you see. So that's 1 cup. We'll do 2. Very level. And then we'll do a 1/2 cup, right? Level that out, 1/2 cup. All right, so that starts the process. So also what I like to use is a wire whisk, or I mean, it could be plastic as well, but I like to use wire. So that way it helps to get a lot of the, you know, the bumps out and all. So I like to swirl that around just to get everything broken up. To this, I will add a teaspoon of baking powder and also a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, this helps your cake to rise and it gives it that real fluffiness, right? Okay, this other thing I like to do is add a little salt because this is a coconut cake, and actually salt helps to add to the flavor, right? And then also, you know, it's baking science. You know, salt, these different types of ingredients is really what makes the cake come together and rise. So that's really what we need as far as the dry ingredients. So I just like to swirl that around just enough to make sure all those lumps and bumps are out of the flour. Okay. All right. So we're good to go. So now what I want to do now is restart my mixer. I'll just do it on low. And now I want to blend these two together. And usually I just try to use like a spatula. And then I like to scoop this in, not very much because it will go everywhere. So we just put a little bit at a time and just let it blend and incorporate. Then also alternatively, I like to use milk. And in this case, since it's coconut milk, in this case, since we're using milk, I'm using coconut milk. So you can use buttermilk, you can use regular milk, but in this case, I want this to be as much coconut flavor as possible. So I'm using 1/3 cup of coconut milk. And as I incorporate the dry ingredient with the wet ingredient, I will pour a bit of this just to loosen it up. And then I'll go back and forth between the milk and the dry mixture just until everything is blended or incorporated together. So let me just continue this process with a couple more scoops. Okay. All right. And then the last of the coconut milk. All right, so we'll let that continue to blend together. And now it just feels like it's coming together like a cake. So what I'd like to do also, if you push down kind of the sides, that way all of your ingredients are in there and you don't have to worry about any dry ingredients like sticking on the sides or anything like that. So you just want to make sure that you clean your sides. So I think that this is incorporated. So the next thing I want to do is add the flavor. So we're going to use 2 different flavors. Like I said, I want to enhance the coconut as much as possible. So we're going to use coconut extract, and I'm also going to use vanilla extract because that gives it richness. I like to just bring as much flavor, profiles into this as much as possible. It makes the cake feel very interesting, and it also tastes very interesting. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of each. All right, so I'm going to use a teaspoon of the coconut first. Okay, and then in addition to that, I'm going to use a teaspoon of the vanilla. These are new bottles, so I'm just opening them, and I just bought them especially for this recipe. I mean, vanilla I actually keep around, but the coconut specifically for this cake. All right, so, and I like to go with the purest form of extract that I possibly can find. So that's for the vanilla and for the coconut. So I'm gonna let that all blend in. And your flavor profiles are going to be so dynamic in this cake. It's just going to be absolutely great. So, all right. So I think that's incorporated enough. So we're going to turn that off for now. So the next thing I would like to do is what will make this cake extra fluffy. And that is adding egg white. So what I'm going to do now is mix up some egg white, and then I'm going to enfold it into this mixture. And that is really what's going to make the cake rise and be so moist and delicious. So, all right, so let's mix that up. All right, so let's now blend in or mix in the egg whites. So I'll have this, let's see here. I have just a hand mixer here that I like to use because I want to get the egg as fluffy as possible so that I can fold it in. So what you want to do, like I said, it's always good to have a clear container so you can see if any egg shell or anything falls into. So what I like to do is just open up the egg, crack it, and I like to just go back and forth and allow the egg white to just fall into my bowl. So I actually have one taken care of. Let's just do the second one. And like I said, I just like to let the egg white just drop or fall right into the bowl. Okay. And then let's go for the third one. Oops. So let's just hope this all gets in there. This egg cracked a little bit funny, but okay. I think I saved the day with that. So I think we're good to go. So just let me wipe my hands here. So this is the egg yolk, which is we're not going to use. This is the egg white, which we're going to use to fold into the cake. So I'm just going to take my mixer here. Just go for it on high. And blend this. I'm just going to continue to blend until there is some structure to it. All right, so as you can see, it doesn't take very long for that to come together. So what I like to do is beat it enough just so that it turns a bright white. And so what I want to do now is just fold this into this mixture. And then that way my cake will come out just absolutely fluffy, so nice. So let me just clean this off and let's remove this. And now what I want to do is just fold this into my mixture. Now you don't want to do a heavy fold, just kind of do, let's pull this up closer. So you can just do kind of a fold over, it's an actual fold. So it's almost like you're just bringing this in. You don't want to over mix it because you'll lose all the light fluffiness of the egg white. So let's incorporate more. So it's almost like you're cutting it, turning, cutting, turning, cutting, turning. All right. So it's okay if you see some of the mixture, but it'll all incorporate once you pour it into the pan. So I'm going to continue this. I don't want to over mix it, as I said. Let's get the last of it in here. All right. And let's fold the last of it in. Let's be sure to get the sides. Still folding. Okay. So I want to fold it until I don't see much of the white. So everything is really covered there. Okay. So now that is your batter. So now what we're going to do is just prepare the pans. I'm going to clear this all out the way, and then we're going to get it in the pan, get it in the oven. It's just going to cook in the oven for about 30 minutes. And so you'll see the finished product. So it's going to be really, really great. And then I'll show you how to do coconut frosting. So stay tuned. That is so good. All right, so I'm back, and what I want to do, I have 3 9-inch baking pans here. So what I want to do now is get the mixture in the pan, get it in the oven. The oven is already preheated. The temperature is 325 degrees. But as a shortcut, what I like to use, and I've used this in my other videos, is I like to use this spray that has the oil and the flour already pre-mixed. So basically you take your pan, just coat it. As you can see, it covers everything that you need. So no need to, do this manually. It's all in a can for you. All right, so they're done now. So I have 3 floured and greased pans. And now what I want to do is divide this into thirds and place it inside the pan. And then we're ready for it to go in the oven. All right, so as far as dividing this, there's no real science to it. I mean, you can kind of eyeball to see exactly how much is in one. I mean, you could potentially, weigh these to make sure they're absolutely perfect. But I think that if you eyeball them exactly to where they should be, I think that these are very, very close. They don't have to be exact. And anytime that one feels a little less than the other, just scoop some out and carry it forward to another pan. So it looks like we are good to go with this. All right, so now these are ready to go into the oven. And then next up, you will see the baked finish of this, and then we'll get the frosting started. So, all right, see you in a minute. All right, so it has been 30 minutes. They have been baking in the oven at 325. The timer has gone off. I'm putting out these cooling racks because I'm going to get these out. Let's turn off the oven here and let's get these beautiful layers out. Check that out. Look how evenly brown they are. They look so delicious. So one way that I like to check these during the process is I'm old school. So I just take a toothpick, and once I stick the toothpick in and it comes out clean, that means your layers are done. So it looks like these are absolutely perfect. I like the way that they came out because they're nice, flat and even. So when I start to layer them, I don't have that fold and I don't need to cut anything. So these are absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do now is just let these sit and cool off, and then I will assemble, and I'll also show you how to do the frosting, which is very simple. So stay tuned and we'll do more. All right, the layers are out, and what I've done is flip the pan over so that these can cool the way that they need to. I have them resting on these cooling racks. And now what I've done is just kind of prep the first layer by turning it upside down on one of these cake sheets or cardboards. Because this is going to go, as I stated, this is for my mom. So I'm going to package this up very nice in a box. So as a part of that, I'm not going to use a real plate at this time. I'm just going to use one of these cake pans that come with the box. And what we're going to do now is just, I have this little spinner, it's this handy dandy. I like that, so that when I'm frosting I can turn it. But I just have this towel down just for traction so that I'm able to turn this with no issue. So now we're just waiting for these to cool. And I already pre-measured my ingredients for the frosting. So basically what you're going to need is 4 cups of powdered sugar, which we have here. You're going to need a block of cream cheese. And it should be around room temperature so that your mixer doesn't have to overwork for it. Same thing with the butter. We have 1 stick of butter. The last thing is your coconut. So I used sweetened flaked coconut. So we're going to put that all into this frosting recipe. I didn't even measure out the salt because the only thing we need is a dash of salt. So I have that. And then for additional flavor and to increase the flavor profile, I have vanilla flavor or extract and also coconut extract. And so that will further enhance the frosting as well. So what I'm going to do now is just get my mixer out. We'll incorporate all this together. We'll start frosting the cake, and then voila, you will see the final product after this next segment. So stay tuned. We're still cooking and baking rather. All right. I'll talk to you soon. All right. All right, I have cleared the area and now we're all set to start making the frosting for this. So again, I'm making a coconut cake and this is going to be coconut frosting. So very simple. I will tell you the ingredients, and of course the ingredients are also posted below. So first off, you have 4 cups of powdered sugar or confectioner sugar, whichever you want to call it. But we're going to start with that in the bowl. So I like to always start with my sugar first and then mix the wet ingredients on top of that. So let's pour all of this in. All right. So again, that is 4 cups. So next I like to start incorporating the wet ingredients such as the butter. So let's go ahead and put the butter in. I like to cut it up into like tablespoon pieces. And this should be at room temperature so that your blender doesn't have to work so hard to get everything together. And the second thing that I'm going to add is 1 package or block of cream cheese. I'm also going to cut this into sections as well to make it easier for everything to blend. And then I'm going to turn on the mixer, and then we're going to make sure everything gets pulled together. All right. Okay, so that's in there. So I'm going to start the mixer on low. All right. You don't want to go too fast. As you can see, it will try to come out, but just start it pretty low. So right now I have the butter, the stick of butter, which is a 1/2 cup, the block of cream cheese, and also the powdered sugar or confectioner sugar now blending. And as you can see, it's getting well blended on low. So now what I can do, now that it's all fully incorporated, I can start adding some of the other ingredients. And and this is a coconut cake, so I like to up the flavor profile just a little bit. So I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavoring or extract. And to that, I'm also, because it is a coconut cake, I want to add, a little bit more coconut. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of coconut. All right, very good. Okay, and then like I said, we only need just a dash of salt because we did start with salted butter anyway. So we don't need very much salt in here, because the thing with salt is that anytime you're using any type of fruity flavor such as coconut, pineapple, things like that in your cake, this salt really enhances it and brings out that flavor even more. So I like to use just a little bit more in the icing, and then of course we will start to incorporate the actual coconut into this mixture as well. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit just so it'll loosen up, and then we will start to pull it all together on the cake. So stay tuned. I like to sometimes incorporate some of the the coconut in the mixture, but in this case, I like to keep the consistency of the cream cheese and then put the frosting on top, because it's almost going to be like snow falling on the cake, and it's going to be so nice because when we layer this, we're going to layer the cream cheese mixture and the coconut between the layers and on top, so it'll get incorporated anyway. So anyway, I'm going to continue with this. We're going to put the cake together in just a minute. Last remaining step in this is just to get our frosting and our coconut all together. So of course, this is our cream cheese mixture. I have some flaked sweetened coconut. So it's a very simple process, and it really just starts with creating a paste so that the coconut will stick to the layer. So I like to just start with just adding some layer of the cream cheese mixture. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect for the center, just enough for the coconut to stick. So I just do enough just to cover all the areas. All right, simple as that. Then I just take the coconut and just sprinkle it all over. Just make sure that I do it pretty consistently and evenly all over the cake. Like I said, it's almost like snowfall. So you almost have everything pretty much incorporated there. So yeah, so if you run your hand over it, then of course, if there's any places that are sticky where you're getting the cream cheese, then it's not really covered well with the coconut. So simple enough. That is layer one. So now I'll do 2 and 3, and the top will just do the entire cake with the same process. All right, so let me add those. All right, so let's add our second layer. And I'm going to go upside down with it and just make sure everything is level on all sides. Let's go ahead with the cream cheese frosting. I'm having a problem with this apron. I don't know. I think I'll just leave it down because it's always acting up. So anyway, so let's just continue. All right, so we'll get that squared away. All right, just enough so that it's tacky and that the coconut can fit right onto the cream cheese and stick. All right, so I think that's enough for the inside layer because we're really going to pack it on for the outside, right? Because the outside is what looks really, really, really pretty. So, all right, so we'll do the same thing here. I want to just spread my coconut on the layers. Just want to make sure that there's no sticky places. Make sure everything is covered. Okay. So I think that is good enough. That looks really, really, really good. And so the last one is of course, the last layer. And so what I like to do with that is flip this right side up. Okay. And it's just so that these edges kind of peek up, and then that way it keeps your height on your cake. So, all right, so the bottom is more of a fold over, and this is kind of a peek up. So you can see how nice and layered that looks. So now the goal is just to get this cream cheese mixture all over the cake. All right, let me just get a bigger spatula here. I think I can work with this a little bit better. Yeah. So let's just get this all over the cake. And then the rest is just a snowfall of coconut all over this cake. All right. So I'll just twist that around. All right. And I like for it to look just a little bit rough, so it doesn't look all, just so well put together. I like it to look like a homemade cake. So I just kind of randomly put this all over and just want to make sure that there's enough for the coconut to stick to the top and to the sides. All right, so I'll continue. All right, we just want to make sure that every inch of this has this cream cheese frosting because we're going to need that to secure the coconut onto the cake. So this looks absolutely amazing. Look at that. So I'm just going to get this last little bit. Just make sure that everything is covered. Okay. All right. So look at that. Beautiful cake as it is. But of course, like I said, this is coconut cake. So I want to make sure that I use this as the base. And I kind of like a little bit of these lumps and bumps a little bit just to give it a homemade feel. So now what I want to do is just take the rest of the coconut and sprinkle it all over and be generous with it because it is a coconut cake. So we're not, it's not a cream cheese cake. It is a coconut cake. So we want to make sure all of that flavor shows well in this cake. So, and then for the sides, I like to kind of hold my hand just so I can catch it and press as I'm dropping it, just so that everything gets on there. It can get a little messy, but that's fine. We can always clean that up and you'll have more than enough coconut for this recipe. So this will be just fine. Yeah, and by the way, the size of the package of the coconut, let me check here. So it looks like it is around 14 ounces. So I used a 14-ounce bag of coconut, by the way, so that you know how much you'll need for a cake this size. All right, so look at that. It's just all coming together. Wow, gets no better than that. All right, I have totally lost my apron, but it's perfect just in time. I think I can take this off anyway because now it is ready for the presentation. And look at that. I am done. Look at that. So let me just get this presentable for you, and then I will show you the finished product. All right. So just one more time and we'll come right back. Okay, now we're at the end and this is the finished coconut cake. Look at it. It is so delicious. Let me give you a close up of that. So what I'm going to do now is get it ready to box. Of course, like I said, this is a Mother's Day. So I have my box ready. I have it decorated. It will go with a bow on top. So what I want to do now is basically get it into my box here, get it all sealed up so that it stays nice and fresh. And then this is going to be perfect for the delivery. She is going to absolutely love it. Look at that. It looks like from a bakery. So, and then I like to use wax paper just to secure everything. So we just fold that on top. This secures the freshness of it. It'll keep in here for quite a few days. And then I like to top it with the box. And now it's all about adding the bow. So here we go. This is another segment for you. Like I said, it's just fun. I like to bake and I just wanted to share what I'd like to do in the kitchen with you. Hopefully it has inspired you to do a little bit more with baking and cooking in your kitchen. And so hopefully you'll be able to bless somebody with something like this as well. All right, until next time, I will talk to you soon. My name is Howard Eason, and I will check you later. All right, take care. Bye.